Okay, this isn't so much as a rant, it's just something that I just want to talk about and I want to clarify because it's something that's been bothering me for quite a long time now, and it's not like well, it's not like it bothers me like I can't sleep, but it's something that gets on my nerves and I find it really irritating. So, how do I start this? You've seen these videos on YouTube of animals being released into sanctuaries, right? Yeah, yes, you have. You've seen it before. It's always very nice, very lovely videos of animals who've been abused in labs or been used for entertainment or just generally badly treated. Seeing them go into an environment where they're looked after and cared for the rest of their lives. It's lovely. It really is. It can bring a tear to your eye. It really can. But there's one reoccurring theme that I keep noticing, and it's always with this one specific animal, which are primates. Now, I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube of chimpanzees being released into sanctuaries, and they're lovely. They really are. To see them come from where they came from, and well, have good, go into a place where they'll be treated well and have good lives. It's lovely. But just like everything on YouTube, the comments ruin it. I see so many bloody comments berating the sanctuary for having the chimps in the first place. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, there are people saying the chimps should be released into the wild, or they're just being put into a bigger cage, or they're not really free. They might as well stay in the lab. Oh my god. It drives me insane, the amount of ignorance that are in people about this. They say that these chimps that have been in labs for their entire lives, being released into sanctuaries. Granted, it's still captivity, it's not ideal, but they cannot go back to the wild. I can't stress that enough. Now, I've seen so many of these comments and I have the urge to reply to all of them, but I can't, so I just thought it would be much easier just to make a video and talk about it myself. So, to you people who are watching this and say, oh, these animals should be released into the wild rather than put in a bigger cage, well, people often personify these animals, and that's not the way it works. You can't stick a chimp in the jungle and expect it to know how to thrive. You can't. Most things they know are learned. They learn how to hunt. They know which fruit to eat. They have to learn how to make a nest. What animals are friends. What animals are foes. And that stuff's all taught. And these chimps are usually taken from the wild when they're babies. So you don't remember everything you learned as a baby. So how are they supposed to learn all that stuff they knew when they were babies? They're very intelligent animals, but they can't remember that far. And if you stuck them out in the wild, these institutionalized chimps, then they'll die. They'll starve. They'll get eaten. They'll die of infection. They'll just die. And that's just because they don't know how to survive. Now, in sanctuaries, or zoos, they try to sort of simulate the wild, sort of teach them how to forage, how to make a nest and stuff like that. But it doesn't matter what they learn in a zoo, it will never be enough for them to survive in the wild, especially if that chimp has had a traumatic experience in its life. And, well, one other thing that bothers me is people that say, like, oh, they shouldn't be in captivity at all. That's another problem. Going back to the thing I just said, chimps that have been abused by people, are dependent on people, could not go back to the wild. And that's the same with chimps born in zoos or born in sanctuaries. They can't go back to the wild either. And when you think about it, zoos have chimps that span from several generations back to probably their great-great-great-grandparents that were probably taken from the wild as babies back in the early 20th century, when this was seen as okay. Because back then, like say the 1940s, 50s, not long ago, it was considered okay. People were ignorant about animals back then, and they didn't know what chimps needed, and they thought it was okay to exploit them. So chimps that have been kept in zoos, born in zoos, have to stay in zoos. They can't be released, and that is sad. It really, really is. But there's nothing else that people can do. I mean, just can't. It's just something that bothers me a lot in the YouTube comments. People that, now, I have replied to a few comments saying, you know, oh, they should release these chimps into the wild. It's still not ideal. And I say to them, no, it isn't ideal, but they can't release them into the wild because they just wouldn't survive. And I give them several reasons why. Yet they're still insistent that the chimps should go back to the wild and telling me, oh, they can learn out there. No, they can't. They can't. They say like, oh, why don't you give them a chance? Listen. You're giving a non-human thing human emotions. You can't put a chimp out in the jungle and expect it to know what to do. It doesn't work that way. Instinct only goes so far. A lot of what they know is learned by mothers, fathers, grandparents, aunties, uncles, spanning generations. And a chimp that's never experienced that family, that close unit, will never know how to survive in the wild. And that's just, it's sad, and I know it's sad, but that's the way it goes. Now, to anybody who is listening to this and decides to say, oh, what do you know about chimps? You're not a zoologist. You're right, I'm not a zoologist. But you know what? You know what I have done? I've written a book on the subject, which I'm actually going to try and get published. And it, well, to give you a brief synopsis, it's basically the life of a chimp told through her eyes, who's taken from the wild and forced to perform for people, and it's about all the suffering that chimps go through. I'm going to put a link in the description of the Wattpad page where it is, so you can have a read at it if you want. A lot of people think it's good. I don't know about that, but you can read it and draw your own conclusions. But I think you get a better idea of my opinion in this book rather than what I'm saying right now. It just bothers me when I see these comments on YouTube. I understand freedom of speech and giving your opinion, but they just have some stupid people in the world. I mean, to give you another example, there's a video on YouTube which is a gorilla in a zoo, and it's the indoor enclosure. It's pretty small. It's not that huge, but if you look on the left of the screen, you can see a light, which is probably the tunnel to their outside enclosure, and the comments are filled with people preaching that these animals are trapped, and they're slaves, and they have no access to the outside world. So I put a comment saying, look, dumbasses, there's the tunnel to the outside. Use your eyes. And I just got people saying like, oh, I hate people like you supporting this animal abuse. You're scum. You're a cunt. You're this. You're that. I ended up having to delete that comment from my subscription, so I didn't get any more notifications because it was driving me that insane. And there was one person that said, oh, it doesn't mean a captive animal can't dream of being in the wild, and they can't dream and hope. No, they can't. A chimp that's never experienced the wild doesn't even know what the wild is, so how the hell can they dream about it? You hear always, in fiction, it's very common to have the wild animal that yearns to run free. Well, no, that doesn't exist in real life. I'm sorry if I'm dragging some of you out of your fantasies, but that's not how the world works. A chimpanzee who's never experienced the wild, has never experienced the wide open space of the jungle, isn't gonna yearn for it if they don't know what it is. And, well, they're very intelligent, they're intelligent animals, but their mind is not that complex. They can't process that kind of emotion, that depth of emotion anyway. I mean, these are the animals that can feel grief and depression, which are two very humanistic emotions, but that doesn't make them human. And that's one problem I have. I know that you might read my book and say, oh, but you personify the chimp. Well, sometimes I do, and it's in the process of being edited, so if I do, then it's going to get taken out and replaced. And I just don't know what else I can really say about this. It's just... It drives me insane how stupid some people can be in the comments. I know I really shouldn't be giving them attention. I should probably make another video just talking about comments in general. But the thing is, it annoys me when I go onto a video of chimpanzees being released into a sanctuary after years, and I mean decades, I mean like 60 years. Some of these chimps have been in zoos in labs for 60 years. Now, these things can live a long time. They can live to be like 70. That's a long time. That is a long time to be in a lab, in a cage, barely bigger than themselves. And I don't care if it's not the wild. It's just wonderful to see them get the life that they truly, truly deserve. And I'm not going to let these comments, ruin it for me. So, anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. If you listened this long, be sure to check out my book on Wattpad. And hope you have a good day. Thanks, guys. Cheers.